awesome. Tell me more about 1 Million Cups.
I'm glad to tell you about 1 million cups because most people think it's a million cups. Well, the million cups is really figuratively speaking, million people coming together, having a cup of coffee to listen to someone tell about their idea, their concept, their business. And most of the time, great conversations are always over a cup of coffee. As you know, I like to get a cup of coffee in the morning, and with a cup of coffee, you get great conversations. And you know, the idea was around listening to great ideas over a cup of coffee. And so there are millions of cups of coffee that are being poured every morning. And we wanted to harness that time, which we typically pick out Wednesday at 9 a.m. to do that for the 1 Million Cups here in the Valdosta chapter. But what we do is just listen to great businesses. And
you know, it's hard sometimes because you have this idea and you feel like, I got to get it out there. I need somebody to help coach me or mentor me or somebody who will guide me through this process. And it's hard to find that person, you know, because a lot of people, basically, they're so worried about their own money, they're not thinking about you making money. So it's really, really awesome for you to say, hey, we care about you enough that we're going to go ahead and make this whole foundation. We're going to sit down and we're going to listen to your ideas because your ideas are important.
Absolutely. And that's the big idea. When you have people that, one, just listen to you, it's hard to find someone to listen to you. It's easy to find people to talk. In fact, you have people that are talkers all around you, right, all day long. But, you know, just to say, hey, look, I'd just like to share this idea that I'm having and just to get some feedback. And so 1 Million Cups, it is geared towards having communities all across the world are doing it. You know, 1 Million Cups is focused mainly in the United States with all the cities that are here. They're in every major city and some rural cities.
Can you show me where they are and just name off a couple of them? So basically every major city has a chapter, but I mean...
Anchorage, Alaska. Okay, so for me to just say Alaska, I just want to let you know they're everywhere. Albany, New York, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Amarillo, Texas. You have Asheville, North Carolina, Augusta, Georgia, Atlanta, South Georgia. They have, of course, we're
basically everywhere. So if you type in 1 Million Cups locations, you would come up to this page on the website and see what chapters they have.
Absolutely. And you can go to any one of these chapters. What you want to do is just say, I would like to go and present my idea. So you just sign up. Tell a little bit about your idea or your business. Make sure that when you do come prepared to really submit to a audience. Now, in your audiences, you're going to find a lot of unique characters. Now, I say unique characters because you never know who's going to be in the audience that day. In some of the chapters across the country, like the one over in Silicon Valley, you have a lot of tech CEOs, you have venture capitalists that are in the audience. You never know who's in the audience, but they're people typically right there in your own community. And a lot of times we do make some calls to make sure that if we know of a certain startup that is being presented, we like to have people in the room that can give great feedback and ideas. And sometimes it's just by connecting the dots. It's not meant to be a networking platform. It's meant to be pinpointed towards developing the concepts, the business model, the revenue model, all of those things that are going to really help that entrepreneur to say, okay, I got past this idea stage. Now my implementation stage, I needed to think more on my distribution channels. I need to think
manufacturing,
more on
financing. And some of those things. So like if you were, you know, a lot of banks or, you know, even community colleges or colleges, you can go and you can get an SBA, you know, where they say they'll sit down and they'll say, well, what do you want to achieve? And they'll work with you a little bit for free or for a small figure to set up a business plan.
Right.
You're a little bit more down the road than the startup business plan model.
You know, and I would hate to say we're a little bit further down the road, but because, you know, the Small Business Administration, you know, they play a certain role. Let's just say that their role is a lot of structure to ideas. Now, they go from a very traditional model we in the startup community, we like to go looking at the lean model. The lean model is just something that's more geared towards around your revenue streams. Because listen, at the end of the day, if you're not making money, you really don't have a business. You might have a hobby. I have some expensive hobbies. Sometimes I consider my farm an expensive hobby. But until you're actually creating revenue, then it's really not a business. And so we always say, how can you get revenue as quickly as possible? And then with the revenue that you're gaining, how can you repeat the cycle? And as many times as you can.
And as fast as
you can. And so we want to push that. But in our setting for A Million Cups, we're here to support you, the entrepreneur. What is it that we can do to help you? And so for most of the times when they come in and they present, they make a presentation, they might have slides, they might have nothing, they might have just a microphone in front of them, and they're just telling what they're thinking about. Well, at the end of the day, it takes courage to stand up in front of a room full of people, some you might know, some you don't know, but to tell something that is a top priority to you. It's an idea, it's a dream, it's your hope. It's something that you really would like to see to come alive. And we're here to help you get life to it. So at the end of the day, we have a lot of wonderful people that are helping behind the scenes to make it happen. With the Million Cups, the Kaufman Foundation is one of those large behind the scene kind of people that are willing to put businesses that are interested in going the next level on a fast track program, which ties right into what they're already doing. It just helps them to not only refine their business model, but in a way that is very appealing to investors or companies that are looking to acquire companies. So
go a little deeper into the different categories of the Million Cups. I mean, what are all the services that you bring to the table?
So with the Million Cups, let me just say this, okay? It's based on the notion that entrepreneurs discover solutions and they are enabled to engage their community. Your business, if you're putting a business into a community, would you not like your community to be engaged with you?
Yes. That's my market. That's
right.
Who I'm selling
That's
to. That's who I need to get behind me, them branding, or, who's going to basically be the potential buyers or sellers.
Absolutely. And sometimes, what you're going to have in the room is a competitor. But they're going to give you some good feedback as well, And,
so you're creating a positive arena.
Yes.
Keeping the negative out, keeping it positive, nothing embarrassing, all high professional.
Absolutely.
Right.
And the real thing is people to actually be able to ask the right questions. Ben, if you told me you're in the towel business, and if I were to ask you about your inventory, and you didn't know about your inventory, well, then we might need to go back to the basics and let's start talking, because if you got a potential customer and you don't know what you're selling, then how can you make the sale?
Right. Well, from the standpoint of even like suppliers, I work with some suppliers and they're nationwide. And I know I can call, because we're on the East Coast, I can call the West Coast, put an order in that day to pick it up the next morning. And so basically using little tricks of the trade that I've learned over the years have helped me, exponentially. And so I do know what you're talking about, having mentors and people who with experience already there to answer questions to help you not have to go through the mundaneness of some of the experiences, but propel you to greatness.
And that's why we want you in the room, Ben. We want people like yourself that's been in the industry, that's learned those tricks. Because if there's a new towel company coming up, you would be more than happy to see them be successful in it. Why? Because it's not about just you and your business. It's about your whole community. What they bring new jobs, they bring new life, they bring new dollars to be spent. And at the end of the day, it's about people helping people.
Well, exactly. I had somebody the other day and they were being incognito about a person. And I was like, well, just tell me who it is. And they're like, well, it's your competitor. And I'm like, who's my competitor? I'm my competitor. There's nobody in the city who competes with me. And, and then they said the person's name. And I was like, well, they're not my competitor. We're in totally different industries. They do residential houses. I do commercial, and not only commercial, but, assisted living homes and stuff
Right.
like that. So, we used to do retail, and even at that, there's plenty of work in retail. There's plenty of work in hospital. There's everywhere. There's so much
Absolutely.
work. So I think, when people try to play their cards too close to their chest, it's kind of a scarcity mentality. But for me, I just had a friend who made $500,000 in his first year of business, and he called me up and he's like, "Hey, would you help me with a tile bid for a commercial job?" And I said, "Absolutely." Because it's good for me for him to make more profit. It's good for me to help the community. It's good for me for him to be successful.
That's forward thinking, Ben. And the reason why it's forward thinking is that when you help someone to move forward, this is how it helps you to move forward as well. Now, that day that he has a job that is too much for his operation, maybe his operation is not at the point where he has the capacity to do it. He knows who believes in him. And it's the people that believe in you reach back out to. So he says, "Hey, I can't do this job. Go call Ben. Ben knows. Ben can do that job, and he has the capacity to do the job." So it's always thinking forward about everyone that you come in contact with and making sure that it's not about you, me, myself, I. That's what cripples most business owners, especially small businesses.
Well, I've even learned